Hello and welcome back to Clownfish TV. It is me, Geeky Sparkles. Neon is not here today, and he probably won't be on videos tomorrow either. So for this weekend, you are going to be spending it with me. So it's just us. So let's have some fun. Today we're going to talk about, oh look, a movie failed. So the actors and the people behind the film automatically blame the audience, because it's always the audience and review bombing and internet culture for why things don't do well, not maybe because your stuff sucked. So before we get into it any further, please like and subscribe. If you do, I'll give you a woohoo, and we're going to talk about this. So out on my blog, Pirates and Princesses, we usually cover Disney things, Disney-related things. Mr. Milo posted this article about Emma Roberts, and she was an actress in the movie, and she's blaming internet culture for Madame Web flopping because, you know, it's never their own faults. It's always, you know, the horrible internet, and let me guess, men, stinky men. So far, the world of Marvel has not had a very good 2024. Interestingly enough, it had nothing to do with the MCU, but Sony and their Spider-Verse. And they're talking about one of the worst superhero films of all time, Madame Web. And they're talking about how it was based on the character, the same name, and they took a lot of liberties with the character to begin with. But it did not do well at the box office. It only did $100.3 million on an $80 to $100 million budget, not even counting marketing. So it had to do at least probably like $400 million to break even. It didn't even make the budget back. Now we have Emma Roberts, who is an actress in the movie. She played Mary Parker in the film, and she's defending the project and saying it's being, you know, review bombed and harassed because of internet culture. It's internet culture, guys, not our stinky ass movie. So she did an interview with Variety, and she said, things work, things don't work. Everyone likes to act like they can predict if they're going to work and if they're not. Well, in my experience, usually if you read the script and it seems like it's dog shit, it's probably going to be a dog shit. Now, I do think that probably cuts were made and changes are made. And so when you sign on to something, does not necessarily mean it's what the end product will be. But usually you can tell. And the truth is you can't. Things do badly and then they blow up later on TikTok. Things do well, but then you watch them and you're like, this did well. There is no secret. It's about doing something goodish and hitting it in the right time. Everything else is like a wish and a prayer. I'm not intimidated by failure. And I'm not intimidated by people having negative thoughts about something. I agree. I mean, there are things that are actually really good, but they didn't do well. And sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes this is not the right marketing. Sometimes, you know, attitudes of people involved with it, you know, hurt something. I know, like the Dungeons and Dragons movie, for example. They had people working on the movie that were out there saying about how it was subverting men and all this other stuff, which it never did. But because they went out there and said that, it preemptively caused damage that you know, led to the box office failure. Same with like Blue Beetle. They had the one thing about Batman's a fascist. Now, in context, it makes sense, but they had to put it in a trailer to be like, ha ha ha, we're so funny. And then the director, I guess, was making comments too they shouldn't have made. So, you know, when the box office came out, people didn't go because you pissed people off. It's not really that hard. Same with shows like Cowboy Bebop. You had the one actress on there playing Faye, going off about stuff and acting like, you know, well, minds that covered up and everything else, and kind of being like everybody who liked this or complains is like a istophobic asshole, a misogynistic asshole. And because of that, people didn't support it. It really isn't that hard. Those working on the movie should just keep their mouths shut. At least in this case, she waited until long after to say anything. She's going to continue. I personally really loved Madame Web. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought everyone in it was great. You're also coming at it from a different perspective because you're talking about you and the friends and the people you made friends with working on the movie and the experience you had that might have been a positive one for you on your side. Doesn't mean it translates to the movie. The director, S.J. Clarkson, I think did an amazing job. She's the reason I wanted to do that movie. If it wasn't for internet culture and everything being made into a joke, I think that reception would have been different. I don't think so. And that's what bums me out about a lot of stuff. Even stuff that I've done is people just make a joke out of everything now. No, they don't. People don't make a joke out of everything. People make a joke out of things that suck. And Madame Web sucked. Critical score, 11%. Audience score, 57%. Now, usually if you have a bad critical score and you have a high audience score, you usually know it's going to be pretty good. The other way, not so much. But the critical score is 11, the audience is 57. It is not, this looks to me like the majority didn't agree with you, didn't think so. Plus the movie the people want to see the mainstream, the normies, the masses will go see it. They didn't go see this movie. $100 million box office means they didn't have the interest in it and the general audiences to go see the film. There just wasn't interest in it. And even though it's been out on streaming, they're still making fun of it. People waited to streaming and they reviewed it after streaming and they still gave it bad reviews. So it wasn't because they even felt like they didn't want to waste their money at the theater, which also is a bad sign. But now it's been on streaming for a while. People have had plenty of time to watch it. They still don't want to watch it or they still think it sucks. Maybe it just sucks. And I get and respect that you're proud of it. Cool. I get it. Sometimes we do things that we're really proud of, or we think we worked really well, we did really well on, but then maybe the end product wasn't great. And we're proud of our part in it. And it might have gotten changed in some way or, whatever, but people don't see it the same way. And that's cool. That's fine. That's valid. But this movie objectively sucked. It's this trend we keep seeing out of Hollywood where they just blame the audience. The actors, the showrunners, the directors, the, producers, whomever, the writers. It's always the audience's fault. If it didn't do well, it wasn't because maybe we didn't resonate with people. And it's always somehow the vocal minority, but yet they somehow tank the whole thing. I mean, it doesn't make sense. You can't be the vocal minority, yet the overwhelming majority that somehow tanked this. It really doesn't make any sense. So this is I just did audience blaming search on Google. Why are they always blaming the audience? 2022. Directors need to stop blaming the audience for their flops. 1 year ago. Blame the audience. Directors need to stop blaming audiences for their flops. 2023. Studios, quit blaming the audiences for your failures. 8 months ago. Too many storytellers blame the audience. 2023. It goes on and on. Directors blaming the audience is a trend that needs to stop. MovieWeb, 2023. It just goes on and on. People are just they're tired of it. Blaming the audience doesn't work. Stop blaming your audience. 10 filmmakers who blame their audience for movie failures. Everybody's noticing it. Stop doing it. It's not a new thing, but it's gotten much more magnified, I'd say, in the last 8 to 10 years than it was before. You go out and search, for example, Star Wars. Yeah, the Star Wars fans are being weird about the Acolyte because everything's review bombing, don't you know? If it doesn't do well with audiences, it's review bombing. Now, if critics don't like it, that's just fine. Or if they do love it and the audience hates it, then it's even more fine. It's review bombing. It's always the audience who hates it. In this case, the critics, they hated it more than the audience. But it's always review bombing. That's what they're going to blame it on. Here we have Star Wars. I just searched Star Wars fans in the last, news in the last little bit. Star Wars fans are being weird about the Acolyte. Star Wars' biggest problem is the fans. That's Cameron. Hi, Cameron. The only winner of the Star Wars culture war is Disney. Star Wars fans will never be happy, and that's their loss, et cetera, et cetera. It's always the fans' fault. And it's not just the studios and so on. It's their trusted media. And a lot of times you'll see it in lockstep with several media outlets at once, either across media outlets that are owned by the same company, or a lot of times where they're friends, different writers write for different publications, and they go out and see what they're saying, and then lockstep, they start talking about it. But they keep pushing this narrative that, oh, it's great. Their new thing they're all excited about, the Acolyte, for example, is about, how hot the Sith is. Here, I'll show you. You got to the Acolyte, and they're talking about, we'll go out to the past week. And all of them are going about, oh, it's so great. They keep comparing it to The Last Jedi. For example, if I put in Acolyte fans and hit enter, they're talking about fan theories, and then you still have the why they're being weird, but they're all simping over the Acolyte Sith guy because he has this really awkward scene. I thought this show was for children. I thought the argument was if you didn't like The Last Jedi, you didn't like Rise of Skywalker, it didn't matter because this show was for children. But I don't think it's for children when you have, Kylo Ren running around with, naked, with topless, and you have Manny, is it Jacinto, which, I liked him. I liked him in The Good Place, running around, taking his pants off and walking up naked to the other girl. I mean, how is that for kids? How is that for kids? We have all these comments about, the review bombing and how the people writing the show are blaming it on review bombing. Leslie Helen discusses review bombing. Here's what the creator thinks about review bombing. Star Wars is review bombing. They're review bombing a show. It's pretty expected. Somehow you're both the vocal minority, yet you're solely responsible for all the review bombing that happened because there's tens of thousands of reviews. It's all you, but yet you're still just a toxic subset vocal minority. Star Wars didn't get much viewers. Doctor Who didn't get many viewers. Go Touch Grass, they didn't get much viewership. And it's not because people don't like it. It's because the small vocal minority of bigots hate it. But the masses didn't watch it either. It blows my mind the way they'll jump through hoops. But yeah, it's the audience doesn't like it. It's toxic internet culture. It's because, everybody makes a joke out of things. It's not because things aren't good. No, sometimes things just aren't good. And it's about time you take responsibility for things just not being good. It is what it is. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.